just got to find out because you're totally stumped, type it in and I'll interrupt. All right, you two ready to roll?
Absolutely.
All right, have at it. It is yours.
Do a screen share and start the PowerPoint. Okay, so as we all have experienced, this is kind of uncharted territory we've been thrown into and had to kind of fly by the seat of our pants, try to figure out how we provide transition services. We can't do face-to-face interactions with kids. And some of us are still doing those face-to-face interactions. But this is, and I will go into a little bit of how this came about, but this is the agenda for what we're going to talk about. So John and I will introduce ourselves, give a little background. We'll cover the who, the why, the what, and the how of this process and what we have to share with you. So my name is Melody Rogers. I'm the Y2P specialist at Douglas ESD. I call them my papers. My kids like to go, oh, you have a master's degree. And I go, yeah, I paid a lot for a piece of paper. Go me. So I have an associate's degree in computer science. I have an associate's degree in behavioral social science. I have an associate's degree in general education. I have a bachelor's degree in English, a master's degree in public admin, and a certificate in career facilitation. And I found myself on all those different paths because of what happened with the economy and not being able to find jobs. That led me to my master's degree. I went to school in California. I moved up here in 2015. I started working on a volunteer network, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. And then I started teaching. I started subbing in the districts up here, and I started teaching for the community college for the Adult Basic Skills program. So I've been an instructor there since 2016 at Umpqua Community College. I teach college and career readiness. I teach English language arts. I also teach social studies to prepare students for their GED. And then I was an advisor for that program. I was there for a year and left to become a CTE coordinator for Douglas ESD. So I became an administrator for Douglas ESD, and I helped put healthcare CTE in 13 districts. And then a residential construction program that was a 5-district cooperative. I decided that I wanted to go back and be with students full time. So I devoted myself and applied for the YTP specialist job that I had co-wrote a grant with other individuals for, and now I'm the specialist at Sutherland and Riddle. I'm a board member for the Greater Douglas United Way. I'm the administrator of a volunteer network that's 40 organizations strong now. I'm also a board member for Music on the Half Shell, which is like our area's big music event during the summertime. And then my passion is dancing, so I belong to a group called the Diva Dancers here in Roseburg. So that's a little bit of my background. Jonathan, do you want to share about yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is John Leventhal, and I'm a youth transition specialist with Douglas ESD in Douglas County, and I serve South Umpqua High School in Myrtle Creek. And a little bit about myself, I've studied game design, so I worked in game development for a little while. I also have a bachelor's in anthropology and a master's degree in education. And I used to be a social studies teacher in middle school for many years. And so I have some experience teaching and working with students. And I also have like a technical and technological experience just from my years of working in game development and video production and stuff like that. So yeah, that's it. Nice to meet you guys.
So who can benefit from this instruction? We're talking about middle school and high school students. ODE has a prescribed education plan and profile that we're looking into how this transition curriculum can fit into that. Of course, special populations, those on IEPs, 504s, students who are at risk of stepping out of education. I hate the term dropout, so I use the term step out. Students who have poor attendance, foster youth, those in community programs, students who have stepped out of education or re-entering education, so those who come to the GED program that I work for, vocational students, students in post-secondary, and community members working with vocational rehab, WorkSource, and DHS. Who can provide this instruction? Basically anybody who works with any of those populations that I just mentioned. So us as YTP specialists can provide this instruction, and basically it's to be a value add to your program. So right now it's the way that we can communicate and provide transition instruction to students without having to do face-to-face. But as we move back into, you know, what our norm used to be in a traditional environment, we can use it as a value add to our YTP programs. So any of those people listed on the screen. Why utilize this program? It's allows students who, well, for one thing, students who are in school traditionally, and maybe they are in activities after school and they don't have the time to do a curriculum, can do the transition curriculum on their own outside of a traditional school schedule. So it eliminates that barrier of a school scheduling problem. Students also become involved in their own research, their own planning. They remain on track to graduate. They will have better self-advocacy and exhibit determination. They take a learning walk through their mindset and their career exploration, their career exposures, and development of their own personal interests. And basically, it is set up so that the first 5 modules, I won't call them weeks, it's set up for a 10-week course basically, but the first 5 modules are basically walking students through a mindset and getting them ready to be able to talk about work and do work and career exploration. And then they get into building this career, what we call a career portfolio. And I'm having my students do an e-folio this term. And so they will have their own online presence that they can then provide a link to an employer and say, hey, I have an online presence now. Here's the link to my my online presence with all of my career information. So Canvas has, that's the online platform that we use at Umpqua Community College. Canvas has a paid online platform that has several options that aren't available, but they also have a free for educators platform. So this picture right here is one of the dashboard I'm using for my transition students. And you'll see right there, it says transition A and transition B. I have 2 transition classes right now that students are actually earning their elective credits to graduate by going through the transition courses that I've built. So instead of graduating, I have one student that wouldn't have graduated until January. And now they have the opportunity to graduate by the end of June by being able to go through these transition modules. So I've provided the link, and I think Mary Jo's going to post this PowerPoint on the YTP site so that you all can look at it. But I'm going to take a step out and go to the internet and actually show you my dashboard for my college class and show you the modules in my college class. So we have, I just have a general welcome module.
Melody,
Huh?
you'll have to stop share and then reshare.
Oh, okay. Can you see it now? Okay. Does it do that every time? You have to switch?
Yes.
Okay. So this is my course for UCC, and it's the same exact for the free Canvas shell. I just exported it over, and the great thing about Canvas is once you build a shell, you don't have to keep rebuilding it. You can just transfer it over for the next term, or you can transfer it, like I exported this to the free shell. So we have the ability to transfer a whole curriculum in a matter of minutes. So I just did a welcome, and then we walk students through a mindset, and they do an assignment on mindset and an assignment on why we work. And they do an ONET personal career inventory, and I'll kind of go into this so I can show you how it's set up. But so these are how the assignments kind of look, and they can navigate out. This also keeps track of how long students are in campus and how they're progressing through the modules. So at any time I can look and see, oh, so-and-so's only made it to module 2, or they've only spent 20 minutes working this week. It keeps track of all of that information. So they'll have a personal career inventory that they do. And then they have to do some research on a job. I have them do a vocabulary with employability skills, and each week they have to contribute to a discussion. So there's discussion questions each week that kind of round out what they should have taken away from each module during the week. So they have to say things that they're good at, one thing that they're very good at, and then the work that they do is important because and they really have to start thinking about what it is that they want to do and where they're at currently. So I'm going to move on pretty quickly. They do an assignment on career one stop. So they go to a career one stop and they have to tell me like how much the position that they want to have makes, what the outlook is on that position, what the job tasks are. Then they do a volunteer activity and they get ready to create their eFolio. So in this version of Canvas, we have the opportunity to use what's called an eFolio. And I'll show you what it looks like. So each one of my students is creating an eFolio over the term. So they will add their resume, they'll add their work experience. And the great thing about it is that they can hit this thing called invite and they can copy their link, and that's their own personal link that they can then give to an employer and show them, hey, here's my online presence, here's all of my information about me professionally. So it's a great add-in. On the free version, there is a folio option, but it's more like this. You build it like a project. Okay, let me go. Does anybody have questions?
The only chat that's here is people are interested in Jonathan and his game development stuff, which is very cool. He could be a statewide consultant, I think, for high school kids who want to go into game development.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I could make like a little video just talking about, you know, what it takes to become a game designer and all the different jobs that are available in game development, you know, because a lot of them have an idea, oh, I want to be a game designer, but they don't really understand all the hard work that it actually takes to create a game and
Yeah.
how difficult it is. And it's just, you know, like how they all say, oh, I want to be a YouTuber, you know, it's like, there's a lot of stuff that it takes. You can't just be a YouTuber.
Yeah.
You gotta have charisma, man.
Somebody else says they love the idea of the portfolio, which I agree. I think is an amazing thing. And then sharing the lessons, and I think Melody will go into that later about sharing the lessons with you.
Yeah. So then week 6 through week 10 is all about building a portfolio. So instead of, we used to have, I used to have my students just do a general introduction and I'd have them fill out a script. Now I have this great lesson with this awesome lady who does this video about elevator pitching yourself. And so my students, this will be their assignment next week, is to create their own elevator pitch for themselves. And then they start to build their portfolio. So they work through, it's actually through Google Applied Digital Skills is what I use to walk them through the ins and outs of a cover letter and how to create one. I also use Google Applied Digital Skills for resume building. And so they'll use that. And then towards the end, they have to schedule a time with me and we do a mock interview. I typically do these in the classroom because I have other students be on the committee with me. And so they can see from a prospective employer things that are good about what the student did who interviewed with us and things that they probably shouldn't have done in the interview. And it really opens up dialogue for us to talk about what are good interviewing techniques and skills. And I have a rubric that I use with my students that tells them kind of what categories people look at when they're looking to interview somebody and they are interviewing them, and what kind of things they think about. And then based on the score that they get, I give them a rubric that tells them whether they would be hired, considered, might have been hired, or don't call us, we'll call you. Whether they would have fit in those categories. So they really are prepared for the next step. Maybe it's their first interview, maybe they've had interviews before and not been successful, or what have you. So we go through that. And I also have a portion where they learn about paycheck literacy. What I found is that a lot of adults don't even know the paycheck vocabulary or what's deducted from their paychecks. Khan Academy has some great lessons regarding anatomy of a paycheck and intro to W-4 and what allowances for a W-4. And now there's a new W-4 form for 2020. So I actually have my students fill one out, don't put their social security numbers on it. But then they have one filled out for when they do get that job. They're ready to go and they're ready to fill out a W-4 and they don't have to ask their employer how to fill it out. They're already ready to go with that. So I've just done a quick kind of overview. The last week, I use something called Oregon Connections through NEPRIS, and we do industry video. It's either a live, which I have done the live versions before, so finding an industry professional that can meet with us live, and my students ask questions, and the industry professional can tell them what they do, or Oregon Connections with NEPRIS has a video library. And so I have my students submit careers that they're interested in, and then we watch industry videos that have already been taped, or we have one live that we do. And right now, I think NEPRIS is offering the Oregon Connections for free, which is a great tool to engage students to learn about a career that maybe they're interested in. I popped in one that I was interested in and kind of sparked some interest of students. Oh, why didn't you know anything about, cybersecurity? That's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Can you tell about a little bit more, or can people just log into NEPRIS? Can you say what that means? And
I will send out the link that I got from them, because typically somebody has to give you the access because it's a paid thing. In Douglas County, we've been very fortunate because we've been able to have platinum access for free just as long as we utilize it. And so I will have to look up the address, and I will send you the information, Mary Jo, and maybe you can send it out to everybody. The last part, and it's optional because not all my students are going to transfer on to Umpqua Community College, but I have an optional module for the application process for that, to do their FAFSA, to do their OSAC, and their Oregon Promise. The other thing that I wanted to show real quick is this system has something called badges. And I'm gonna try to do this without showing names. But basically it turns it into a game for students. So for every module that they complete, and right now I have my modules locked so that the class moves together. But for every module they complete, they get a badge. And I create the badges. So I get to kind of figure out what they need to do to, and usually it's just complete the module to get the badge. But then they get this little artwork badge in completion. There's a leaderboard so the students can look and see what other students are, if they're the head on the leaderboard or if they're down towards the bottom. So it makes it kind of a competitive game for students to complete their modules and complete them on time, and be the first ones to complete those. Let me stop share.
Carly put up on the chat, if you guys want to look at it, right now you can just Google Oregon Connections, NEPRIS, and create a free teacher account, and she has the website there.
Oh, awesome sauce. Thank you for doing that.
And then the others, again, NEPRIS is a great one too, but you can also find, those of you that have access to CIS, there's great interviews and very similar things. So that was the questions about NEPRIS. Somebody wanted a copy of your mock interview rubric.
Okay, I can send that out too.
Okay, that'd be great. Reminds me of online college courses I've taken. Yeah.
It's the same kind of setup, and I did that on purpose because I was setting this up for my GED students, and their direct pipeline is into UCC, and right now we are all online for their classes. So if I can support them and support my YTP students who also want to transition to post-secondary, in this environment, then they will also be prepared for community college. So it's part of the reason why I did what I did.
So I have a question, if it's okay.
Sure.
Some of us are using Google platforms, and so I'm wondering if there'd be a way that you'd be willing to share some of those modules so that we might build it around a Google Classroom.
I am so glad you asked, because we're going to get to that. We've thought of you guys already.
Thank you.
And how we can support other YTPs who are using Google Classroom. In fact, that's what Jonathan's gonna talk about. So I won't go into all the benefits of utilizing Canvas. You can see that, you know, we can do grades in there. We can set a calendar. It's very user-friendly. I have my class set up so that it's full. You have to do these things in order, or you can't move on to the next module. So it's really user-friendly. There's the badge system that I was talking about. That's actually kind of what my class looks like now. I just took off the names. So I've also given a link to the information for Badger, and I haven't put it in my free shells yet, but I'm going to do that because it is a free program. You don't have to have the upgraded version of Canvas to use it. And then I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan, who's going to talk about the Google site that we've created with all of the modules that I just showed you. For those of you who are using Google Classroom and would like to use these modules. And I'm going to stop sharing so that he can talk about it. The other thing that I did was I took all of my assignments and I turned them into fillable PDFs. So those will be online too.
Like 2 fucking cases of them.
And I am going to mute myself so Jonathan can take over.
All right, there we go. I was trying to find the controls. Can you guys see my screen right now? Awesome. Yeah, I was trying to find the controls. Sorry about that. I didn't realize. I haven't shared my screen before. So this is a Google site that I've created based off of Melody's Canvas website. So I pretty much converted all the modules that she had created in Canvas and manually converted them into this Google site format. So this is the home page, and here on the left side is like a table of contents where the students could click on different modules and explore, you know, different pre-eds. Pretty much is mostly kind of what this is. So this is just a little, I'll scroll through here a little bit and I'll show you guys a few of these. And I'm still working on this. This is like a work in progress. I'm trying to get all the information in here, but I just wanted to have something to show y'all. So this is like module 1. So the student would first have a little overview of like what the purpose of the module is, like what is a growth mindset, and have different objectives that they are going to complete, that they're going to learn pretty much. What's the point of this module? And then they'll have a little task to be completed section, which tells them all the different things they have to do. And it's kind of, I did model this sort of like a college class. Like I've taken lots of online college classes, so I kind of modeled it off of that as well. And then they go into the task. So let's say the first task is complete this "Why do people work?" Google form. And we're experimenting with Google Forms or fillable PDFs. So I've let some of these links be Google Forms to show you what that would look like, and some of the links are PDFs that the students would fill out and then email to their teacher or submit to like a Dropbox or something. And let me click here and see if it loads up. So this is a Google form, right? That was on here. We clicked, And here the student would put their first and last name and like answer these questions related to, you know, why people work. And I have directions here. This is from my years of teaching experience. You got to give parameters, you know, so 3 to 5 complete sentences, proper grammar, spelling, punctuation. And then the students would answer this and submit it. And then that way that the YTP specialist could keep track of which of their students have submitted this stuff and kind of compare all their work. Let's go back to the Google site.
A question for you,
Sure.
if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
So I know, Melody, when you did your presentation, you talked about having sort of like this really useful portfolio. And I'm wondering if with the Google site, you're using Google Sites, or are you having your students create like a folder, more of like a folder portfolio within their Google Drive and then kind of share that out? Have you looked at those two options, benefits, drawbacks?
That would be up to the YTP specialist how they wanted to do that. So if you have a Google Classroom and you want all your students to submit to a folder and give you access to that folder, that might be a way for you to do that. You know, in place of having the online, you know, e-portfolio. I have not found, and this might be something to research, if there is, you know, outside of like a CIS kind of thing, if there is like a free, you know, that would be a secure free portfolio kind of thing. Otherwise, the students would just create, you know, a folder in their Google Drive and give their YTP specialist access to it. Would be a way to do that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, so this is a Google site. It's not a Google Classroom. And the reason I wanted this to be a Google site was so that anyone from anywhere could access this without having to be inside a class. And because I feel like a lot of YTP specialists, you know, don't necessarily want to have a class of students and be grading all these different assignments all the time and keeping track of all these different things. Not all YTP specialists can do something like have a classroom like that. So this is something where you could just say, hey, go to this website, sites.google.com/view/DouglasYTP, do module 3, and then email the stuff you did to me. You know, and it's more like casual that way. And that's what I think is the benefit of having a Google site as opposed to like a Canvas or a Google Classroom, which are awesome, of course, but they both have pros and cons, you know. So that's why the thought. And then this could also have a portfolio. So the e-folio that Melody was showing could be just like, you know, it could be incorporated into this Google site, and the kids would, you know, we could even have them creating a e-portfolio in this Google site, and then they would be uploading all their stuff directly into that. So that's also an option. You know, we're still kind of experimenting with what makes the most sense and has an easy flow.
And then how do we keep, you know, student information confidential and all of those kinds of things? We had discussed doing all of this in a Google Classroom, but Jonathan came up with this idea, and I think it's fantastic because if you do have a Google Classroom, you can just literally link in your Google Classroom to one of these modules, have them work on the module and submit whatever you want them to submit in your Google Classroom.
Yeah, I just posted the link on the chat if you guys want to click. You know, it's pretty simple, and I mean it's under construction. I mean, you know, a lot of the text isn't finalized, so it's still like really rough. But this is just like a somewhat working model.
And John, when it is, you'll get that so we can have it on the YTP website?
Yeah, sure, definitely. Yeah, once this is more finalized, and this is something that you can keep building on, which is great. You know, so we can keep making this better and better and better, and just make it awesome, and have lots of resources on here. So kind of how you guys have on the YTP website, you guys have all these things, which is awesome, but you know, it's kind of like a lot of stuff, and it can be a little overwhelming. So kind of having it in a sort of kind of organized curriculum that a student can follow or a YTP specialist can follow kind of can be a lot more accessible to some people.
Well, and I went to the CEC conference and attended a session where they're talking about K-12 transition. I could really see somebody developing a site like this and looking at modules that middle school students could access that are age appropriate. And imagine being able to share a site like this with families when their students are still in elementary school, as a picture of what's to come, you know, resources, and it could be pretty powerful. I've experimented with Google Sites and I really like it. I think it'll be cool to see where this goes and how you guys develop this. Thanks for sharing.
Of course, yeah. No, we just want to make it accessible to everybody. So, and you know, anybody. You know, it doesn't even have to be in Oregon. You could access this in a different country. Honestly,
Mhm.
you know, we just want to get. Let's
we
get these
just
kids some
wanted
jobs.
to-
You know.
We just wanted to be able to create something where we could interface with our students. And so when this came about in March, you know, it was kind of quick, fast, in a hurry. So as people start utilizing this, you guys are going to be our guinea pigs, or and you know, and piloting this and letting us know, hopefully giving us feedback as to, you know, where you think challenges are and what you think is great, where you think it could go in the future, and all of those kind of things.
Yeah. And so let me go back real quick. This is a link I clicked on the Google site I made, and this can be downloaded by a student, and they could actually type in here. This is a fillable PDF. It's a PDF file, but these boxes, if I actually download this, the student could click in here, they could type their answer, and then email it back or submit it back, and it's just like interactive. Instead of having them create all these things from scratch, we're giving them these graphic organizers that the students can easily work in there and just submit it. You know, they could add it to their portfolio or email it to the teacher or the specialist, right?
John, when
Yes.
you're like doing this, there's Melody too, when you're going through yours. If transition specialists are working with students and maybe doing it with 3 or 4, could you just click through this and kind of do it together too, instead of having it out there?
Yeah.
That's what I do with my hybrid class. So when I'm teaching face-to-face, I utilize Canvas. And so I'll put this up, I'll project this on the screen, and we'll go through like the objectives together. And then either, you know, do breakouts and my students work in groups, or they can work independently. And then we come back together and we share together. So that's how I utilize it in a hybrid situation. And I'll have 15 or 20 students in my class.
And so this is the elevator pitch module. So it has a little overview, like what's an elevator pitch, some images, the tasks. See here, I've embedded the video. So like you could just click play right in here, and it's a YouTube video that's embedded on here. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, this is very rough still, but yeah, just kind of wanted to show you guys a little bit about what it looks like.
Say what you just wrote.
I'm sorry?
Oh, I want Patty Bates to talk for a sec.
Oh, yeah.
So I just wanted to see if I could link the Mod 1 into my Google Classroom, and I was successful at that. And I can show you how I did that if you want to real quick, but I want John to finish what he's doing.
Yeah, sure. I'll finish real quick. I'm almost done. But yeah, and we can keep adding more stuff. So this is something, if everyone wants to use this, you know, like we can use all of your input, all your resources. Let's, you know, instead of everybody reinventing the wheel at every different site, you know, we could have some sort of uniformity and some really solid distance learning that can be available to everybody, and just make let the specialists focus on the kids more and not so much on curriculum and lesson planning and all these things that are really time consuming and hard. And I mean, I have experience as a teacher, but you know, it helps a lot to do that. And I have experience with computers and stuff, but you know, not everybody does that. And there's, you know, so, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, just so you guys could check it out. And if you have any suggestions, or you know, like how Michelle Pruden was mentioning, the portfolio stuff, or great ways to kind of make this more streamlined and easy for people, for students to use and for specialists to use, I think it'd be great. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and I will switch it over to you guys.
So John, if we have like slideshows and different modules that we think you might want to add to that, do we email it to you?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, definitely. You email it to me, and then obviously this is like we're making this kind of we're like based off what Melody's work was, but we can always just improve this as much as we can. And I'd like for the YTP team at U of O to kind of really help with this and make sure that the stuff that's on here is something that's like approved by like the core YTP team, and not just some random specialist who thinks that this is a great cover letter lesson and it's like total garbage or something. Not saying that you guys would ever do anything like that, but hey, I don't know.
We would never do that. And actually, I was telling Melody earlier, and she was wondering, what you have this evidence based, and I think that's kind of what you were alluding to, Melody, is to really look and see, is this on track, and try and talk about that and see how we can, get it out and see how people are doing, and you can get some feedback from other parts of the state.
Yeah. So if you have any questions for me about Canvas or the free Canvas, or if you want me to ever Zoom with you and walk you through how to set up your own free Canvas, I'm the person for that. John's doing all of the Google site stuff. So if you have Google site questions, I'm sure I'm going to speak for you.
Sure, go ahead. I'm down for whatever.
Tell you.
No, yeah. I mean, if you guys have any questions about the Google site or suggestions, I'll put my email address in the chat, and you guys can email me anything you want, like anything at all.
Yeah, I'll put my email address in the chat as well. The PowerPoint, the end of the PowerPoint has our information. So our cell phone numbers and our email addresses on there too. So that'll be on the YTP site, but I'll put my email address in the chat. Does anybody have any questions? I haven't gotten to read through any of the chat questions, so.
I think we're good. I think, did I miss anybody's? I don't think I did. It's good info, just a lot of thanks so much.
Someone was going to show how to transfer one of the modules into the Google site.
Oh, that's right. Patty Bates.
Yeah, I'm curious to see that, Patty.
Yeah, because I was like, okay, if I can steal this module, let me see how I can do this, because I'm more of a let's do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So do I have access to share this? Yes, I do. All right, so here is the first module I landed in here. So let's show you, the share screen is in my way. So here is John's website. And so I did modular 1. John, do you realize that you're missing mod 2 in here?
Yeah, that one is really rough. So
Okay.
So modules 2 and 5 are just not in there. I'm hiding them from the navigation.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah.
It's like maybe. So if you click on, I'm going to do mod 3 because I did mod 1. So if you click on the modular and it'll come up. If you're looking at, all right, where is it? Where's the link for this one? Because the last one, so if you go to mod 1, right here's the link. Can you see this right here? Well, now it just disappeared on me.
Yeah.
Here it is. So it says copy the headline link, and it says copy to clipboard below. Let me see if I can find mod 3s. Sometimes there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Can you not just copy and paste the web
I
address?
might be able to. Let me see if I can do it that way. Copy. So then if I take it into my classroom, I'm going to hit create. And I went ahead and I put it under material, just because for me, it'll be easier for me to keep a hold of that way. And then paste your link in and then add. Let's see if it comes up this way. And then it's there. So,
Cool.
If we go back to the classroom, so then I would, of course, put my module 3, and then what it is. I also went ahead and posted it because I wanted to make sure, like you could do a description here as well. I went ahead and posted it because I wanted to make sure it posted to everything. So there you can see Modular 3 is now in the Google Classroom. And it's under classwork. So then you can continue to add those in. Yeah, I was super excited. I wanted to make sure that it worked. And so then I went back in also because I wanted to see, John had put, you know, these hyperlinks in here. Do those work? I also, on Modular 1, go back to my classroom. At the bottom, he also had a video here. So those are also working. So I just wanted to show you that everything kind of translated and it worked. So
Nice. That's awesome.
That's
Yes,
great.
I'm a
John.
big Star Wars
Yeah,
fan.
of course.
So
yes, super excited that it went right in there and there's no, so thank you very much for that. I'm going to
Oh, thank
stop
you.
sharing now.
Anybody else, any questions? Why don't you just pipe in and ask, and if you think this is good or whatever. Any thoughts or ideas? Or thanks, Patty, for doing that, because that and I love that you showed how to do it and move it, so get it to where you need it.
You're welcome. I knew there was quite a few people who were using Google Classroom, and that's the platform that their school district is choosing to use. And so, you know, I love Canvas. I think that's an awesome idea too, but I'm not sure if my school district allowed me to do that. So I just wanted to make sure that it would move into the Google Classroom, and it did fabulously. So thank you.
yeah,
and
that's
if
why
you
we
wanna-
did both.
And if you want to grade your students' assignments and stuff like that, linking it like that, like you're doing, Patty, is awesome, because that way you can actually see what the kids are doing and assign grades to them and remind them of things. Because it's a little, just having the Google site by itself, it's just kind of hard to keep track of what the kids are actually doing, you know, but so yeah, I think it's great.
Hey, this is Carly from Southern Oregon. Can I ask John a quick question?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, I've been working on a YTP Google site also. Obviously not as rad as yours, but still it's fun, and with similar thoughts about what you're saying about the access. My question for you is, did you use Classic or the new Google sites? Just thinking about formatting and choice.
I used the new Google sites.
Okay,
I used new
that was the
Google
way I headed
sites,
to.
and I yeah, and there was like a template I used. I think it was the second one. I don't know what it was called. I can tell you guys what template it is. But you know, you can kind of choose the color of some of these things and the fonts and the flow, and you know, so yeah. But yeah, it was a new Google site.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, and maybe Carly, if you could share your Google site with me, that would be awesome too, because so we could kind of maybe collaborate on it and kind of see what it could look like.
Absolutely, yeah. I got your email down, so I'll get it out to you.
Awesome, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? This is a brand new site down in Douglas for Douglas ESD, and with 3 schools in it, and John and Melody have hit the ground running and are doing some great stuff. So please, this is why we have these things, so that you can all network. And like John said, you're not all recreating the wheel and starting at the beginning. And I really wish we'd had all this when I was a transition specialist, because you were kind of your own little site and figured out what you had to do, and we didn't have this opportunity. So this really excites me. You guys, any other questions that you have? We have about 7 minutes left. We can end it unless anybody else has anything. Let's see, my work region, Michelle Markle. My region is working on a site of resources during COVID. We can share the link as well if you're interested. Cool. Thanks a million. Great information.
Can I address Cynthia's question on here to me? What makes you think the school might not allow you to use it? I think every school district has certain things they'll allow them to use. Like some districts won't allow you to use Zoom, some will allow you to use Google Hangout, some won't. So you need to really make sure that you're checking with your school district before you're using a certain platform, or if there's one they want you to use. And our school district wants us to use Google Classroom. So I just wanted to I want to put that out there. Make sure your district says it's okay before you start using any platform.
Yep. The other thing is to check with your local community college that is your post-secondary pipeline, see what they're using for their online platform, because if they're using Canvas, that's a great way for you to say, hey, I would really like to use Canvas, and we're preparing our students to be able to take online classes should they want to transition to post-secondary if they're utilizing Canvas. So.
All right. Anything else? Thank you so much, you guys. I think, like I said, this was great. Lots of new technology out there for some that